So yesterday we spoke about the differences between similes and metaphors. So we know that they compare things, but we know that one uses like or as when comparing, while the other does not use like or as. So today we're going to talk about a different type of figurative language that writers use to make their writing more interesting. This is called personification. Now, for example, let's look at this marker I'm holding up. Now I know this marker is an inanimate object. I know it can't think or feel or speak or run or walk or do anything that we as humans can do. But if the marker could talk, what do I think it would say? Or what do I think that the marker would think if it could think? So for example, I might think that the marker is tired from writing all the time and just wants to take a break. Or maybe the marker is thinking that, you know what, if no one was ever using me, I would probably feel sad. I would feel like I wasn't doing my job as a marker. So I want you to turn and talk to your partners and see if you can come up with an idea of what you think the marker might say if it could speak. Okay, so the marker speaking or thinking is an example of personification. Now personification is when you give a human-like quality to an inanimate object. So the marker, it's an inanimate object, but we gave it human-like qualities by making it think and making it speak. So sometimes writers do this in their writings to make the story more interesting to the readers, to us as the readers. So let's take a look at this poem we have. It's called Toy Talk by Mike Acton. Now I want you to watch as I read through the poem and I look for examples of personification. So, each night the toys inside their box lay still except for moonlight talks. One winter night the red drum said, "The world's so loud it hurts my head." Now, let's stop. It says the red drum said. Now I know that the red drum is a toy and I know that toys can't speak, but in this poem the red drum is speaking. He's saying, "The world's so loud it hurts my head." So I know that this is an example of personification. So I'm going to circle the red drum because that's my inanimate object. And then I'm going to underline what the red drum is doing. So the red drum, it said, is speaking. So I'm going to underline what the red drum said. The world's so loud it hurts my head. And then I'm going to take a look at my chart. Examples of personification. And in the object column, I'm going to write red drum because that's the object. And then in the action column, I'm going to write what the object is doing. So in this case, the red drum is speaking, so I'm going to write speaking. Okay? Now, let's look at the next stanza. It says, "No, no," the winds-up monkey's voice insisted as he told the toys. "Let's talk about the world I found. It flips back every time I'm wound." So let's stop. It says, the wind-up monkey's voice insisted. Now, I know a wind-up monkey is a toy, and I know that toys don't have voice, so automatically I know that this is an example of personification. So I'm going to circle the wind-up monkey, because that's my object, and then I'm going to underline the action. So the action was speaking. So we have no, no, and he said, "Let's talk about the world I found. It flips back every time I'm wound." So that's what the monkey is saying. So again, I'm going to go back to my chart. Under objects, I'm going to put wind up monkey. And under action, again, my action is speaking. Now the action doesn't always have to be speaking. It could be speaking, it could be thinking, it could be walking. Maybe the red drum was walking. Any human-like quality that they give to an inanimate object, that's personification. So you have the rest of this poem in your packets right now. I want you to read through the rest of the poem, and then I want you to turn and talk to your partner to see if you can find an example of personification. Now, when you go back to your seats today, you all got a packet of poems. So what you're going to do is you're going to read through all the poems, and every time you find an example of personification, you're going to do the same thing we did today in class. You're going to circle the object in your poem that's doing the thinking or the talking or the speaking, and then you're going to underline the action that they're doing. Then you all got a copy of this chart, examples of personification chart. I want you to write in your chart the object and the action that the object is doing. And at the end of the class, we're going to share some examples that you all came up with.